Hello and welcome to my newest solo run. Can I beat Pokemon Emerald using only an ANORITH? For a non-fully evolved Pokemon, ANORITH isn't terrible with a respectable speed of 75 and a high attack stat of 95. However, its defenses are thoroughly lacking, basically all being pretty terrible. Its bug rock typing is also not great, as it just has so many weaknesses, with only subpar offensive capabilities to make up for it. It can't even utilize this good attack stat that much because its learn set is just completely terrible. On the bright side, we do get access to a fantastic ability in Battle Armor, which prevents any crits from being landed onto ANORITH. This will just make fights a lot more consistent and not have to deal with the hacks part of the critical hit. Overall, I think this run might be pretty difficult considering my moves are gonna be very limited for the first few gym fights and really throughout the entire game. Additionally, I think Wallace might be too much for me to handle just because of how strong his water types are and their moves just really being able to destroy ANORITH. My health aside though, it's time to begin the run. First, I used the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to change my starter to ANORITH. That way, I can use it for the entire run. I switched ANORITH with Torchic because this gives my rival a Mudkip, being the hardest Pokemon for me to deal with, giving me the best challenge I can get with this run. I got through most of the early fights pretty easily just because ANORITH's attack stat is very high, even with Scratch. However, there is a trainer with some Geodudes that I actually struggle a lot with just because it resists my normal type attacks, meaning it's hard for me to kill it. This doesn't bode well for my Roxanne fight. Anyways, I decided at this point that there's really no way I can beat her without Water Gun, so I ended up grinding up to level 19, which is when I learned the move. With Water Gun, I finally take on Roxanne, and the fight goes pretty well. The fight starts off with Roxanne's Geodude, which does to a quite effective Water Gun. I then get 2 lucky Rock Tomb dodges with ANORITH, allowing me to 1v1 the Nose Pass with Water Gun as well, taking it out. She then sends in her final Geodude, also dying to a quite effective Water Gun, winning us the fight. Next up is the first rival fight with May. She leads off with Torkoal as we lead off with ANORITH obviously, which clicks 2 Rock Tombs on it for the kill. Afterwards, she brings in Mudkip, which dies to 1 Rock Tomb, winning us the fight. After an easy victory versus May, we sail out to Dewford, where we fight Brawly. Unfortunately, Brawly ends up being quite difficult, as you'll see me lose an attempt to him here. Eventually though, we do figure out how to beat him. Grinding ANORITH level 25 gives us access to a new attack, Metal Claw, finally being a decent move to use against him and his team. The fight starts with Brawly leading off with a Machop, which dies to 2 Metal Claws and does very little damage to our ANORITH. Then Mad-Attack comes out, get up Reflect, but it dies pretty quickly and does no damage due to us breaking through his focus punches. Finally, Brawly sends out a Makuhita going for Bulk Ups, but we score a lucky crit versus him with Metal Claw, winning the fight. With Brawly bludgeoned, we can now deliver Steven's letter. This leads us to Slateport, where we have our second rival fight on our way to Mauville City. May leads off with a Lombre, which dies to 1 Rock Tomb. So is her Slugma, which she sends out next. Afterwards, she sends in Marshtomp, which I have no good attack to hit her with. However, a few Metaclaws are enough to do it with the attack boost, leaving me at 5 HP and with a win. After a close fight with May, we get to Mauville City, where we can challenge Leader Watson. Unfortunately, this turned out to be another roadblock for our mission, as his Magneton resists all of our attacks besides the pitiful one being Water Gun, and always paralyzes us. This causes a multitude of failed attempts until we finally get the winning fight. One aspect that I didn't consider until the winning fight was that we actually get access to HM Rock Smash, which is a fighting move to help with the Magneton. Unfortunately, something I didn't even realize until the end of this run is that Rock Smash is actually only base 20 power in this game, so while it was helpful, it still wasn't that great. But we did still manage to win, as you'll see in a second. Watson leads off with Voltorb, which we do one-shot with Rock Tomb, and we one-shot the Electric with Rock Tomb too. Now with Rock Smash, we're finally able to beat the Magneton, additionally with a crit, and then we can finish off Manectar with some Rock Tombs for the win. After washing Watson, it's time to finally deal with one of this game's evil teams, Team Magma. After taking the lift up to Mount Chimney, we fight a few grunts and a Tabitha fight, but none of them are really important here when compared to Maxie, the true boss of this split. Maxie leads off with a Mightyena, which we can simply use Rock Smash on over and over again to defeat despite his potion usage. Then a Zubat comes out, which dies to Ancient Power, as does his Camerupt, deciding the fight in our favor. Next up is a bit of a boss rush, with a subsequent Flannery fight followed directly by Norman. Luckily though, since we are a rock type, Flannery might finally be an easy gym. Luckily, my suspicions turned out to be correct. Flannery leads off with a Numble, which we kill with Ancient Power, getting the boost. She then sends in Slugma, which we kill with Rock Tomb, followed by Camroth, which we also get the boost on with Ancient Power. She ends off with Torkoal, which we kill in one Ancient Power as well, winning the fight very decisively. Now that Flannery's finished, it's Norman time. To begin, Norman leads off with Spinda, which dies after a few Fury Cutters as I stack them up. Then he sends out Vigoroth, which now dies to one Fury Cutter, as does Slacking, and we finally end the fight with the last Fury Cutter on the Lindoon, ending Norman time. Now that Norman's been neutralized, we can take on Shelly at the Weather Institute. The Shelly fight starts off strong with a 1-hit KO Fury Cutter onto Carvanha and a second Fury Cutter onto Mightyena. After a Swagger self-hit, we get another hit off of Mightyena, killing it and winning the fight. Our next opponent is Winona and her Flying-type Pokemon. Because ANORITH is a Rock type, we actually have a good matchup here with our Rock moves like Ancient Power and Rock Tomb. I think this fight should be pretty easy, but we'll see how it goes in a second. To begin, Winona leads off with Swablu, which goes down to one Rock Tomb from ANORITH. Then she brings out Pelipper, dying to Ancient Power, and Skarmory, which dies to 2 more Ancient Powers. She then goes into Tropius, dying to 1 more Ancient Power, as we get an Omni boost. Mid-fight, we also get access to the move Slash, which I drop Ancient Power for, as it's just a decently powerful normal type attack, with the high crit rate making it pretty good as an option in general for most fights. She then sends out Altaria, which dodges 2-3 Rock Tombs, forcing me to use Slash, which I do get a justifiable crit for, killing her, winning the fight. With Winona defeated, we can now move into the finale for Team Magma, being the final Maxi fight. The fight begins with us getting off 2 Fury Cutters versus Maxi's Mightyena as we get a +2 boost from his Swagger. We then click Slash as we hit ourselves, but then hit him for 2 more, killing his Camroth, as he brings out Crobat for a finishing Rock Tomb, barely winning us the fight. Our next gym fight is versus Tate and Liza. After one try, I immediately realized that I don't even stand a chance, as I get completely destroyed by them. I'm gonna need a lot of levels before I have any shot of victory here. By the way, for anybody wondering, the Kadabra in this fight will only be using Teleport, so it has no impact on the fight whatsoever. I'm only using it because for this gym, you have to use 2 Pokemon or they won't accept your challenge. Finally though, after a ton of grinding, we do reach level 70, where we're finally able to win the fight. We start the fight by having ANORITH attack the Claydol with Slash, which does a pretty good amount of damage, enough for, in fact, for us to finish with a second Slash. We can then click Rock Blast in the second turn versus the Lunatone, allowing for not a knockout because of an unlucky 2-hit, however the next Rock Blast does get the kill. We then Rock Blast to Solrock with a 3-hit, killing it, and then finish off Xatu with a 2-hit Rock Blast, ending the fight. We can now progress the story a bit more by doing the Shelly fight in Seafloor Cavern. This fight starts off with us clicking Slash into Mightyena, getting a turn 1 kill, as she sends in Golbat to replace it. Now we can click Slash again, this time to Sharpedo, doing massive damage, in fact getting enough for the kill on it. We then slash the Mightyena, doing a good chunk to it, as Intimidate has weakened our attack stat quite a bit, however 2 slashes does the job, and in fact 2 slashes will also do the job for the Golbat, eventually taking it out and ending the fight for a win. Now that Shelly's done, we can fight Kyogre and save the- oh, no, we're actually fighting Archie. Archie leads off with Mightyena, which we can deal with pretty easily with a Rock Blast, getting a 2-hit unfortunately, but then getting a 3-hit next for the knockout. Then we get confused but fight through it, knocking out the Crobat. However, it does bite us a bit versus Sharpedo as we can hit ourselves twice in a row, but then a Rock Blast connects, taking it out. This concludes the evil team segments of the game. With that taken care of, we can get into the 8th and final gym leader, Juan. I'm expecting it to be pretty difficult since he's a water type gym leader, but we'll see what happens. Juan leads off with Lovezisk, which dies to 1 Rock Blast, taking it out. Celia also falls since it's a super effective attack, and Quadon dies to 1 Crit Slash, which is pretty good. Kendra tries to do some double team stuff, but we get through it anyway, and then the Wishcash dies to a few slashes, getting us the victory. The final fight before the Elite Four is going to be the Wally fight. I'm not too worried about this due to our insane level advantage though, but we'll see how it goes. Anyways, Wally leads off with Altaria, which easily dies to 1 Rock Blast. He then follows up with Delcatty, dying to a Rock Blast too, being a solid start. Magneton comes out and then dies to 2 Rock Smashes, which is great, as we 2-hit the Gardevoir with Slash, despite its potion spell. Then it comes out Roselia, dying to 1 Slash, ending the fight in a victory. Next up is the Elite Four, but before we get into that, I feel like I should do a quick disclaimer about the level you're going to see. I actually attempted the Elite Four so many times here, however, it just was not happening, and I ended up having to grind to level 100 to even stand a chance of them. So that's where you're going to see me at level 100 for this fight, just letting you know. The Elite Four begins with Cindy and his Dark types. He leads off with Mighty Ana, which dies to 2 slashes, which is really good. And then he dies to 1 slash crit on his Crawdon and Absol. We then fight Shiftry, which does swagger us, but then dies from Aerial Ace, which also kills Cactuar and winning the fight. Next up is the Ghost member, Phoebe. Phoebe leads off with Dusclops, which has pressure, which is annoying. However, it does die to 1 Rock Blast, which is good, and the other one dies swiftly after that. We then get a crit Aerial Ace on Bayonet for the kill, a Rock Blast on the Sailite for the kill, and her other Bayonet for the kill, making for a very easy fight. Next up is Glacia and her Ice-type Pokemon. She leads off with Celia, which is an easy 2 KO with Rock Smash, as we want to save Rock Blast power points for later Pokemon. Walrein is needed with Rock Blast though, which we get an easy one-shot on, and so is Glalie, which does dodge run annoyingly, but it's alright. The next Celio almost dies to 1 slash, but barely hangs on after using a full restore twice, and then we kill it with Aerial Ace crit. Glalie does dodge his Rock Blast again, but dies the next one, ending the fight. The last member is Drake and his Dragon types. His Shogun likes to spam Protect, but after slashing and Aerial Acing a ton of times, we finally knock it out. Kingdra dies to 1 Rock Blast, dodging that water move, and we do hit Salma's Rock Blast on our second try, killing it, which is the same fate for his Altaria. The Flygon is pretty bulky, but does die to a few slashes despite his health spam, finally winning the fight in our victory. After all those tough fights, we finally make it to the Water type champion being Wallace. Wallace leads off with Wailord, however this is pretty easy as it dies to 1 crit slash, and the Ludicolo dies to 1 Aerial Ace. The Gyarados is kind of concerning, but after Aerial Acing it and Rock Blasting it, we do knock it out. However, we're now -1. We then take a big Surf from Milotic, barely living, but we do kill it, as we also kill Tentacruel with a lucky 4-hit Rock Blast. Finally is Wishcast, which we end with 1 crit slash, winning the run, finally. I cannot even tell you guys how many attempts this Wallace fight took. It just really was not happening for me, so it was a big relief to finally beat him. I mean, I really enjoyed this run. ANORITH is actually my favorite designed Pokemon in the entire franchise, so it was cool to use him. And yeah, I hope you guys really enjoyed the run too. I'm hoping to get better at these videos, but you know, it'll take time and practice, so I'll keep trying to do better and better over time. And yeah, goodbye.